Hey there Facebook, it's Vanessa here again, your motivational speaker, head coach at Live, Love, Give, and I wanted to bring this special message to you guys because it's something that is definitely on my radar at the moment, and it's always talking into up-leveling our connections. And I'm going on my own sort of journey with this right now, and I have pretty much this year has been a really massive journey for me in terms of up-leveling those connections. And you may have heard the incredible Rohn quote that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I'm really resonating with that at the moment in terms of, the environments that we put ourselves in terms of those connections. And I want you guys to, my purpose for this message today is really to get you questioning, getting you to think outside the box a little bit more and look at the environment that you're currently in terms of your relationship dynamics, in those friendships, in those family relationships, in those intimate relationships that you have. And I want you to question, how much are these connections building you up as opposed to tearing you down? And I want this message to empower you to take responsibility for where you're currently at in those relationships and empower yourself to make the move, whether that be out of that relationship or whether that be getting more clear about what you need in relationship and communicating that, or ultimately to celebrate the connections that you do have. So before we dive in, again, I just want to say a quick hi. I know a bunch of you have just joined me. So hey, Matthew and Jamie and Michael, Dave, nice to have you. Maritash, nice to have you again. And Aaron and Vikas and Champ, Don, Anitha, awesome. Love you guys. Love seeing you guys come back, day after day. I really appreciate it. And thank you for joining, Brett. And Kevin, oh, really? That's awesome. Kevin just said that he lived right near where Rohn grew up in Idaho. That's so awesome. I love that. Awesome. So, that's what I really want to talk into, and it's been a huge growth journey of mine and something that I'm still working through, and I know that I'll continue with. But ultimately, it's always, up-leveling and recognizing when we're in unhealthy dynamics. And my experience has been recently that sometimes we're just totally unaware of the dynamics being unhealthy. And it sometimes takes getting outside of those dynamics, separating a little bit out of that environment to be able to reflect back and assess the health of that dynamic. And, for me personally, I was in a dynamic just recently where I was starting to question myself, and I was like, what's going on here? What's happening in this relationship? And I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out whilst I was in it. I was feeling like it's not working. Something's not working here, but I couldn't tell where it was coming from, what was happening, how that dynamic was really playing out. And it took me to getting outside of that environment and having some clarity and some sort of alone time to be able to reflect back and have an outside perspective as to what that dynamic was, to be able to realize how unhealthy it was. And I empowered myself to make some shifts and some changes there. And an amazing thing happens when you start to get more intentional about your connections, about the people that you surround yourself with. Just, how much the universe sort of operates in terms of attracting quality people into your life who really support and encourage the best parts of you, and they're not threatened by them, and they're not, in competition mode about those aspects of who you are. And for me personally, I've recognized a pattern within myself that was holding myself back because I could pick up so strongly on how people could be threatened by different aspects of who I am, the truth of who I am. And because my desire to make others happy exceeded the voice on the inside telling me the truth of who I was allowing that dynamic to play out. And it took me, like I said, getting outside of that dynamic to actually be able to recognize how unhealthy that was and how much it was coming at the expense of the truth of who I am, and ultimately keeping those other people stuck in their sort of, mentality and competition mode. So it became a very unhealthy dynamic, not just for me, but for them also. And So I'm really grateful that I've had the realizations that I have, and I had that ounce of courage to move outside of that dynamic and get outside of my comfort zone that I'd been kind of accustomed to, and see another perspective. And I was just this morning doing a shared Facebook Live in a group that I'm a part of with a new friend of mine, and you know, it was just talking it out and talking about these unhealthy boundaries and dynamics that we can play in our connections and in our relationships. It really gave me so much perspective as to the gift that this new friend of mine and I had given to one another. And it was like this gift of environment. And that's really solidifying that quote that I mentioned, Jim Rohn's quote, that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And it gave me such perspective as to what was healthy and what was unhealthy. And, you know, that is such a great gift to give somebody, is the appreciation for the truth of who you are when you step into your strength and your authenticity, and to have somebody on your team who is backing you, who when your win is their win, and to be able to have that dynamic play out with another person. There is nothing better, my friends. I really, really do believe that. And my hope for you is that you have people in your life that are encouraging you to be the best version of yourself. They are seeing your full potential and, you know, wanting nothing more than for you to be successful in your realm. And there is no ounce of threat or competition in that. It is, you know, a shift in mindset from a scarcity mindset, like your success means something about me and my identity, and that I have to, you know, pull you down in order to move forward, as opposed to a healthy dynamic of your success makes me more successful, and that we can create a win-win out of what our key strengths are, and where my blind spots are, you have strengths, and vice versa. And we can only get better through collaboration rather than that tearing down through competition. And yeah, so I hope this is resonating with you guys today. Let me know in the comments. I want to jump back in here because I appreciate you all so much. And yes, I've read that, Kevin, and Alex and Marco, nice to have you. Donald, awesome to have you back. And Bernadette, awesome. And Victoria, nice to see you. Champ, yes, and my friend Jeremy, awesome to have you here. And thanks, Donald. I appreciate that this is powerful for you. And you know, I'm so excited by the world that we live in right now, because we have such access to incredible minds, incredible positive people who are, you know, reaching for the extraordinary, not just settling for the ordinary. And it may be, you know, it's not the time that it used to be in terms of you lived in a certain community and whoever you were around, like that was your world, you know, it was hard to venture out of that. Now we have access to incredible people from across the globe who are showing us what is possible, who are inspiring the best parts of who we are to come forth. And that, my friends, is, you know, what I spoke into in my Facebook post today, is the differences between, you know, healthy competition and unhealthy competition in our relationships. And, you know, that healthy competition is all about seeing what is possible, pushing ourselves past our current limits. And, you know, that is what's beautiful about it. It's not competition against you and me, and there's got to be this winner and this loser. And if you win, I must lose, or making it mean something negative about my identity. It's the opposite. It's like, hey, we're all in this together. We want to grow. We want to progress, you know, as humankind. And what's possible? Who has the courage to show us what is possible? And push the boundaries of what we're capable of currently, and inspire others to do the same. And that can only build us up. That's a really abundant growth mindset to have, which, you know, allows us to feel freedom, connection, depth, all the great stuff. You know, that's why I just don't think that there is room for that unhealthy dynamic that competition and threat can play in relationship. It just has no purpose for moving us forward. So I hope that this message is resonating for you guys. My friend Hassani, great to see you. Another powerful message. Yes, we need to lift each other up instead of tear each other down. So grateful that this is resonating with you, and I love having you on here, Hassani. Thank you so much. Yes, I totally agree. And you know, the other little aspect I wanted to talk into with you guys is when we are in sacrifice. So there is also, you know, I've spoken to the health and the unhealthiness of competition. The same thing applies in terms of sacrifice in love. So a question to ask yourself is, am I sacrificing in this relationship? Am I sacrificing the truth of who I am in order to have some connection with somebody? And that ultimately is a really unhealthy dynamic. It stunts your growth. It stunts your ability to have real depth and meaning in your connections, in your relationships. And it stunts your own personal growth in all areas of your life when you are dulling your light down, when you are, you know, sacrificing the truth of who you are so that you don't threaten somebody else, so that you're not too much for somebody else or make somebody feel more insignificant. Because, you know, a healthy sacrifice, if there is one, is ultimately choosing to sacrifice fear for love. You know, that ultimately is sacrificing your independence for intimacy. You know, that's sacrificing your resentments for forgiveness. And ultimately it's sacrificing any of your old wounds for new beginnings. You know, that's healthy sacrifice to create more depth, more love, because you guys always hear me talk into the fact that I really do believe that the purpose of all of our lives is to love and be loved. At the end of the day, that's what we're all here for. And so I'm always about, you know, unblocking the blocks and the walls that we've put up against love, which is ultimately against our truth. So I hope that this is resonating for you guys. And, you know, ultimately one of the ways that we can look at it, I don't know if you guys have watched my video, I think it was a week or so ago, in terms of just introducing you guys to the 6 human needs from Tony Robbins and Chloe Mandanis. And it's a really powerful framework to look into. And when I spoke into that, so go back to that video after you've watched this one. If you haven't already, check that out just to get your head in the game. But ultimately, there are these 2 other human needs. The need for significance, to feel special, unique, different, and the need for love and connection, you know, that depth. And so ultimately, these 2 needs are on a seesaw. So the more you go for one, automatically, the less you have of the other. So what happens is, with unhealthy competition, we're ultimately going for so much significance. We're trying to be more significant than somebody else, and automatically we get less love and connection. We pull ourselves away from that connection and we get more separation. And that's really unhealthy. And then if we look at the term, you know, the unhealthy and healthy sacrifice, you know, ultimately, when we are sacrificing the truth of who we are, we're trying so much to get this love and connection, but at the expense of our significance and our worth. So, you know, again, that's another unhealthy dynamic, and it's just the opposite side of fear. So both going for too much significance and going for too much love and connection at the sacrifice of your significance are both going for fear. It's choosing fear instead of love. So that healthy competition and that healthy sacrifice in relationship is all about sacrificing your fears for love and having balance between your significance and your love and connection. So I hope that makes sense how I'm explaining it to you, and it's valuable, and it's sort of challenging you to think about your connections and up-leveling those in your life for the health of yourself and the health of the people that you're in relationship with. And again, just want to quickly check back in here with you. Stephen, nice to have you back. I'm grateful that you're loving my work. Warms my heart. And Sabri, thank you for joining me again. Jeremy, my friend, there is such power in seeing the best in others. It draws out the best in each other. So true. And I want to thank you, Jeremy, because I have that dynamic with you, and I love that so much. You're one of the people who I've created an extraordinary quality of connection with, that I'm truly grateful for, because we have that dynamic. And as we would talk about, you know, that's the art of love, is mastering the art of giving and receiving and having that balance. And that's ultimately having having that leveled up seesaw between significance and love and connection. That's what love is. So I appreciate you, my friend. And Anyeta, awesome to have you back. And Lee, thank you so much for your kind compliment. I appreciate you. And Anatha, better than any bond or relationship, the bond we all need to nourish is within our own self. Time we spend and what we do when we are alone is what we are actually. How to start enjoying our own selves. Okay, so the question that I feel I'm getting from you is how to enjoy that time within ourselves. So yeah, so there's parts of what you said there that I totally agree with. I think that it is so, it is the foundation to quality connection with another human being to have a healthy, centered relationship with yourself. So there is such importance with being able to be happy with your own company, and not necessarily need to be in relationship with another person. But at the same time, we're human beings, and like I always say, the purpose of our lives is to love and be loved, and that includes others. So it's about not being reliant on another human being for to be our sole source of love, but ultimately to fill our own selves up to overflow into others through that love. So some tips here to bring it back down to like what you can work on. I'm a really big believer in starting a journaling practice if you don't have one already, and starting with some quality questions that you would ask yourself every day. One is, what am I grateful for about myself? Just pick one thing, because so many of us, we get so caught up in and tied up in our worth being what we do and what we achieve, as opposed to who we are and our being. So a great question to journal about on a daily basis: what am I grateful for about who I am? It's a great one. Really starts building that connection to the great parts of who you are. And also, what am I proud of myself for? Really building up some pride within yourself about the great qualities that you have and the actions that you take. It helps keep you accountable in life. And the last one I would say to start journaling about is, what do I forgive myself for? That's a really great one as well, because often we don't realize, but we're holding so much shame, so many little regrets and resentments and feelings of guilt, that we need to unlock that and unleash our truth onto the world. And that is such a great way of starting to build that quality relationship with yourself and making it a fun experience. Answering those 3 questions as a period of time where it's for you. Put on some great music, have your favorite drink, just make it awesome, and that part of your day that you get to enjoy just being with you and focusing on your strengths, building yourself up realistically, from the truth of who you are. So I hope that was helpful to you guys out there, and I hope that answered your question, Anatha. Thank you so much. And Caitlin, nice to have you. And Ahmed, imagine a world filled with people who exactly behave and think like... Thank you so much, Ahmed. That's such a kind compliment. I really appreciate you. And, I just want to take this just a quick moment to just thank all of you guys out there who engage in my work, engage in my content, because I know how like-minded we are, and I appreciate that so much, because I get to surround myself with you guys, and up-level my connections by engaging with quality people from all across the globe like you all are. And, I appreciate you all so much. So, yeah, lots and lots of love to you. And thank you for that kind compliment, Ahmed. I appreciate you so much. And thank you, John and Hassani. All great questions. I'll add them to my grid diary. Yes, awesome. Love it. I'd love to hear how you go with that, Hassani. Thank you so much. And, guys, I hope that this message today has been helpful to you. I hope that it's resonated. I just want to, with you guys, I hope that me sharing parts of my journey and parts of my experience and story is helpful, because, I really believe in, learning from other people's experiences, getting new perspectives, because often we're just one perspective away from a breakthrough. And that's been my experience. So I hope that this can help you guys out there. And thanks for joining, Judy and Greg. Grateful to hear that. And yeah, so let me know, guys, you know, do you have any last questions before I leave you guys for the day? Any last questions, last comments? If you guys have any great feedback for me in terms of how I could be adding more value to your lives, if there's any particular topics that are really would resonate with you, I would absolutely love and appreciate your guidance there. So because, you know, ultimately I'm getting on these because I have such a burning desire to add value to your lives. And if I can, I want to do anything that I can to do that. So appreciate any of your feedback. Okay, John, does relationship really matter on how your life goes? Let me see if I can decipher exactly what you mean there. I really believe that our relationships are our greatest vehicle for personal development. They offer us the greatest source of both pleasure and pain in our lives. And I ultimately think that it's human nature to be in deep connection and to love fully and be loved fully. So I would say that yes, there is a massive connection dependent on the quality of your relationships and the results that you're achieving in your life. So I hope that that answered that for you, John. Thank you for your input there. And awesome, Stephen from Michigan. I love hearing where you guys are. So make sure when you jump on with me, let me know where you are. I appreciate that. Thank you, Brian. I very much appreciate you. And thanks lots of lovely. Awesome. Thank you, Manan. Appreciate you guys so much. And Shai, thank you for joining. David, I'm so grateful to hear that you're loving this content. And Asif, thank you. Thanks, guys, so much. Anatha, awesome. Thank you, Vanessa. I just agree with you, but I think the day we start loving for being ourselves, we will have less vulnerability towards the fear of being accepted in another relationship. And also, we don't need the fear of changing yourself to comfort another. When we start accepting ourselves, people around us also accept who we are, rather than what we show them. Okay. Yeah, awesome, Anatha, and I appreciate so much, as always, your input, your engagement, your questions. They rev me up and energize me, so thank you so much for that. What I would say is that I totally agree that we need to be accepting of ourselves in order to create an awesome foundation, to create extraordinary quality of relationship with other people. But ultimately, I don't like seeing people out there hold themselves back from relationships, from starting relationships, from engaging in relationships, because they're waiting for themselves to be in some perfect level to be able to invite that person in. Because ultimately, if you want to really fast track your personal growth and success in life, guaranteed you do it by bringing another person in there, because they are such a good mirror at showing you what all of your fears are, bringing them up to the surface. But what I would also say is that my wish for you is that you attract somebody into your life who is totally on that self-development journey with you. Because I know you guys who are watching me, you're into your self-development. Otherwise, we wouldn't be connecting at all. And so I really feel like there are different ways that we all grow. But if you can attract a partner into your life who is totally committed to their own personal development and growth, just as you are, and you make a commitment to create the kind of relationship that is willing to get vulnerable, that is willing to face and follow fears so that you can break through, and you have the mindset that, you know, that vehicle of relationship is so incredible at fast tracking your success and personal growth, better than what you could do just trying to go solo in life, which, you know, there's no problem with that. But when you know that we're all here to love and be loved, why are we holding ourselves back? You know, if you can find that person who's on that growth path with you, wow, like that is such an incredible feeling. And I wish that for you guys. So I hope that you know, resonated with you guys. It was valuable to you guys. And thanks guys for joining who are just jumping on, Amanda and Mano. I'm just about to probably head off, and Joji, thank you. I'm so So grateful that this is resonating. I love you guys all so much. Make sure you remember that and know that. And I'm really grateful to you guys for jumping on live with me. Like I always say, because I just get so juiced by you guys, and I appreciate the connection that you're allowing me to have in my life and up leveling my 5. And I hope that you guys are going to go and get serious and get intentional about the quality of relationships that you have in your life. And if you do find yourself that you're surrounded by people who are in that fixed mindset, they're not really having that growth and abundant mindset, then you've got so much opportunity to start reading some quality books, listening to awesome podcasts. You know, you've got such access to great minds who can help up level your 5 and therefore up level your life, the quality of your life, the quality of your connections. So I hope this has resonated, guys. I appreciate you all so much, like I always say, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. So drop any more questions, comments. I want to get back to you. Again, any feedback, any ideas for topics that you really want to dive into, I'd love that. So sending you all my love, light, blessings, gratitude, and I will see you guys tomorrow.